Welcome back, weirdos, and happy Halloween. Per tradition in the Marlakrishelp Manny fam, we're going to do a manicure. I'm going to make press-ons. We're going to do a little nail art. This is going to be kind of a dual purpose video. You guys in my Facebook group decided on a theme for me and my girl Chelsea over at Sip and Dip to do. So we're going to do a little bat, cat, spider. Although I already did bats, so we're going to do cats and spiders today. If you want to check out Chelsea's manicure, I will make sure to leave that up in the cards for you to go and watch. And we're going to do some scary stories that y'all have sent in. I'm not going to talk too much about what I'm doing or the products I'm using, but I will make sure to leave everything linked down below, including the nail extensions, the press-on stand thing. Everything that I use will be linked down below. So without further ado, let us get into some spooky stories. A man was walking home alone one dark and windy night. His path took him down a dark, deserted street that ran right by a local cemetery. As he passed the gates, he heard a strange noise in the darkness behind him. Not daring to look back, he quickened his pace, but the bumping noise continued behind him. He stopped and turned to see what it was. Coming down the road behind him was a coffin, standing on end, bumping from side to side. Bump, bump, bump. The man couldn't believe his eyes. Terrified, he turned and ran into the driving rain. Behind him, the coffin came faster. Bump, bump, bump. Ahead of him, there was a branch that had fallen from a tree. He reached down and grabbed it as he ran by. He turned and threw it at the coffin, but it just splintered, and the coffin continued chasing him faster and faster. Bumpity, bumpity, bumpity. The man turned the corner onto his street and ran through his front gate, the coffin still behind him. The man dashed into his house, but the coffin crashed through the front door. The front of the coffin swung open, and the man glimpsed the horrible sight of dead skeletons inside. He ran upstairs and grabbed his shotgun off the wall display, then took aim and blasted the coffin with both barrels, but the shot bounced harmlessly off the coffin as it continued up the stairs. Bump, clump, bump, clump. The man, desperate and scared to death, jumped into the bathroom and locked the door, but he knew it would do no good. The coffin banged the door, and suddenly the door exploded and the coffin came through it. In desperation, the man reached out his hand and grabbed the first thing he could reach. It was the bottle of cough syrup. He threw it at the coffin, and the coffin stopped. I had a feeling this was going to be a funny one. What a way to start our ghost story episode. Thank you so much for sending that in. I needed a good laugh. I haven't had too many paranormal experiences, but there is one that stands out that I will never forget. It was the year 2000, and it was dead of winter in Fairbanks, Alaska. I was a student athlete, volleyball, at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, living in the on-campus apartments. I was living with 3 of my teammates, and everyone was off to class this particular morning, so I was home alone, sleeping in. I was dating a guy who lived in the apartment across the parking lot from me, and it wasn't unusual for us to leave the doors unlocked and just walk into each other's apartment. I was sleeping, and I heard my boyfriend's voice whisper, "Angel," very quietly in my ear, but I didn't wake up right away. Then I heard it a little louder, from what sounded like over by the bedroom door. This time, I woke up and sat upright and looked over, but no one was there. I know, not too scary. At first, I was a little creeped out, but I didn't think much of it and just chalked it up to me hearing things. So now that I'm awake, I get up and I go to the bathroom to brush my teeth and wash my face. For reference, I can see my bedroom door from the bathroom mirror. We never closed any doors in my apartment. It was 4 girls living together, and we were all like best friends. I'm still a little creeped out by what I heard. I finished cleaning up, and I turn around to go back to my room, and the door is completely shut. So now I'm creeped out by both of these things, the voice and the doors. But I'm trying to convince myself that I'm imagining things until I turn around. And as I turned around, the bathroom door clicked shut. The hairs were standing on the back of my neck. I immediately ran downstairs. I'm in college. I slept in men's boxer shorts and white t-shirts. Into our mudroom, threw on my snow boots with no socks or anything, and had a teammate that lived about 6 doors or so down from me. I knew she'd be home at the time, so I booked it to her apartment and told her what had happened. Of course, she first left and went back with me to get myself dressed. Mind you, this is the dead of winter in Alaska. This morning was probably an average temp of around below 20. Negative 20? 20 below zero. Probably lower. I did not even take the time to put on a jacket. I was so scared. So imagine looking out your window and seeing a girl running for dear life with untied snow boots, boxer shorts, and a t-shirt. The crazy thing is I never experienced anything else in that apartment. Well, thank the sweet Lord, girl, because I would have burned down that apartment. That's absolutely insane and terrifying. Thank you so much for sending that story in. My name is Stacy, and I currently live in Cali. I say currently because we're a military family and constantly moving. Anyways, here's my story from my firsthand experience. Before I get into the story, thank you, Stacy, for your service. We appreciate you. On to the story. Back in 2016, my parents took myself, my little sister, and my brother to their home country, El Salvador. We have a family there, and my parents visit every year. This year, we took our vacation and went to visit my mom's side of the family in a little town. Well, we stayed at what was once my mom's uncle's house, but my mom told them not to tell us that he passed away in that house. We only stayed there one night. These houses were built differently out there, and there's a courtyard in the middle of the house with the rooms surrounding it. My parents and I stayed in one room, and my siblings stayed in another room across from us. Night came, and we went to bed. That night, it poured rain like crazy, and the roof, which was made of aluminum, made it so loud. Anyways, in my room, I had a hard time sleeping, going in and out of sleep. One point of the night, I heard footsteps, and I thought it was my dad or mom going to the bathroom, so I didn't turn to look. The footsteps sounded to head towards the middle of the room, not to the door, which I found odd. Oh well, tried to sleep. Next thing, I feel like someone sat on my bed by my feet and felt like someone was looking at me. I slightly turn, but it's pitch black, and I didn't have my phone because there was no outlet in my room. I turned back around and tried not to think about it. My sister and brother in the other room had an open window and door. It was a hot, humid night. My sister also had a hard time sleeping. She said she kept watching the rain fall. In a moment, she said there was an old man that walked by her window and door. She thought it was weird and thought maybe dead, but he was heading the wrong way to the bathroom. Weird. Back in my room, My mom was also having some trouble sleeping. Then she heard a chair being dragged from one end of the courtyard very loudly to the other. Keep in mind, it was raining, but she said this definitely sounded like a chair. I heard the same sound but thought, thunder? Rain? In the morning, my little sister asked Dad why he was heading to the kitchen. He looked at her like, what? She told us someone was in the courtyard, and she said she saw a photo of my mom's uncle and said, yeah, this guy. My mom's face turned pale and looked at us and said, that's my uncle. He passed away in the corner of the house. We then told each other of the sounds we heard, and my mom said she didn't get up in the middle of the night. And she also heard the footsteps and the chair being dragged. A few minutes later, the housekeeper came in and jokingly said, so, did he come visit you last night? We looked in disbelief, and she laughed and said, yep, this place is haunted. I looked at my mom, and she had the expression of, oops, because she knew as well. While my brother was intrigued and went into all the rooms and took photos. And yep, got orbs in all the photos, especially in that corner. I vowed to never go back. Yeah, I don't know if I'd go back either. Although he seems like one of the more friendly ghosts, if there is such a thing. Thank you so much for sending in your story. I worked as a forensic nurse in a hospital's lockup unit. We had one older lady who swore she was being haunted and abused by a demon she would call Tiberius. So many crazy things happened while she was on the unit. We'd go into the room, do normal care, leave, and seconds later she'd start screaming bloody murder. We'd run into the room and find her looking like she'd been in a fight with a boxing champ. Bloody lip, black eye, markings all over her body. No one ever saw her doing this stuff herself. Things would get moved around the room by themselves. At one point, she was in protective restraints because the doctor thought she was hurting herself. There was no way she could have moved or done anything to herself while in those restraints. But new marks would always appear, or her tray/cart would move across the room. The room was secure, so there was no way someone else was doing it. When we asked her questions, she would just say, it was Tiberius. After she was discharged, we always had trouble with that room. If there was going to be a rapid response or a code, it happened in that room. One night, a guard reported lights blinking on and off. It was that room. Nope. Quit your job. Burn the whole place down. Absolutely not. Thank you so much for sending in that insanely creepy story. I want to Google Tiberius, but at the same time, I don't want any of that negative energy, so I'm going to leave it there. But if any of y'all feel daring enough to Google that, go for it and leave it down below. My dad used to work as a corrections officer at a rural prison. He drove the perimeter of the property for his entire shift, where he would check empty buildings for runaway inmates. This was generally a boring job. One night, my dad was parked on a hill reading a magazine when he started to feel a thumping in his body. He described it as the feeling you get when speakers are playing a song with really heavy bass. He put the magazine down and checked his rearview mirror and saw someone standing outside the truck. He grabbed his pistol and jumped out of the truck with his weapon drawn. Outside the truck, he realized it was the procession of Native Americans walking through the truck, directly through his seat. What? Only to disappear in the exact spot he was sitting. He said once it was clear, they were just ghosts because many of them had appeared injured. This went on for a few seconds, and then the whole procession disappeared. He called the other perimeter guy on his walkie to try to explain, and the other guy almost immediately stopped communicating. Turns out the other guy had seen it happen before, but didn't believe in ghosts, so he wouldn't even talk about it. Why does this stuff always happen at people's jobs? How do you people still work? I would never. I don't think I could. I don't. If you have a haunted job, comment down below and let me know what it is and how you deal with it. Okay, I think I have time for one more. Shortly after college, I got married. We immediately moved into a basement apartment because that's all that was available in our budget. This place had a poltergeist. Whatever resided there with us made it clear it wanted to live alone. Dishes, glasses, other items would fly off the shelf. I was hit several times. There was always an ominous feeling, like we were being watched. At night, when we walked through the apartment in the dark, there would be insanely bright flashes of light that would illuminate the entire room. One night, while we were going to bed, as soon as I walked into the bedroom, we heard a voice from nowhere say, "My name, move." My husband looked at me. I looked at him and said loudly, "You got it." And we moved out 2 days later and stayed with family. The old lady who owned the place died a few months later, and the house was torn down. It's still an empty lot to this day, nothing but grass and a tree. I still drive by it every now and again. Oh my God, why? Why would you even bother going in the same vicinity as this place? Absolutely not. I would do the same thing. I'd move the heck out. Screw that place. Never again. Never, ever again. Those were some good stories. I am throwing a matte top coat on these press-ons. I'm going to get them on my nails. If you want to see a detailed video on how I apply the press-ons to my nails, I'll make sure to leave that up above. This video series that I do every year for Halloween is very much inspired by, did I almost say James Patterson? That's not his name. I just got a new book by James Patterson. He's on my mind. Robert Welsh. Robert Welsh is a makeup artist on YouTube, and he does makeup and ghost story Mondays, I think, sometimes. I'll leave his channel down below if you want to check him out too, but thank you to him for inspiring this little Halloween series. Thank you to Chelsea for Manny twinning with me. Again, if you want to check out Chelsea's video, I'll leave that down below or up in the cards. I hope you guys have a wonderful, spooky, and safe Halloween, and I will catch you in the next one. Love you, bye.